Okay, well, we are going to go ahead and get started just so we can be respectful of everyone's time. My name is Megan Rich. I've probably emailed with a lot of you over the past year and a half or so. So I just want to say welcome to all of you for joining us today on this wonderful Friday afternoon. We're really excited to talk about some Team USA things and share some updates with the group. I'm going to go ahead and get started with a quick overview of what our agenda is going to look like. USA Triathlon staff who are on this call or who you have probably worked with in the past during your time as a triathlete or multi-sport athlete or
I don't know if it's just you, but we've lost the sound.
Yeah, Megan, we're losing you.
a member of Team USA. We'll qualify for which events and so forth. Then we'll move on to
We're not hearing you.
Sorry, my internet went out. So we're gonna hook into a hard line quick.
You need to just go up, probably your desk.
And she's in the office. That's what makes
I know.
it should be pretty reliable.
Tim, have they paid the bill?
Didn't pay the bill.
We
Weird.
paid electronically, but you never know if it makes it there, right? Deepak?
You know, I'm thinking if it's electronic and there's no internet, the money didn't make it.
As long as it's not by US mail.
It always takes several days with those electronic payments. So while Megan's getting set up, I just want to remind everybody to please mute yourself. And maybe while she's getting ready, I can just give you the overview of our rules for today. I'm Liz Kolar, by the way. I work on Tim's team.
Hey Liz, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Oh, because Andy just muted everybody. Okay. All right. Never mind. You're back. Are you back, Megan?
Yeah, I'm back.
In time for you.
I've run across the office. Okay, so I am going to go over the agenda really quickly, just so we can make sure that everyone has an idea of what we're going to talk about on this call. After my quick introduction, Liz is going to take over and go over the rules of the call, which she already started doing. We're going to introduce you to the USA Triathlon team. So everyone who is in the office that you work with during the Team USA process, the qualifying process, even as you work through some of your membership issues, if you have any. We're going to go through what qualifying events are left, qualifying events for 2022. We're going to touch on what the mixed relay, so the new mixed relay event and the new super sprint event are, how you qualify for those. We are going to go through an update of current events. So the current status of the 2021 World Championships. We're going to talk a little bit about travel. We're going to touch on team clothing and the race kits for Team USA. We're going to talk a little bit about how the Team USA coach will work with you as a Team USA athlete. And then we'll have some closing remarks by Tim. So that's just a really quick overview of what we're going to cover today. I'm going to turn it back over to Liz to touch on the rules for this call.
Okay, I think I'm good now. Sorry about that. We're in our muting of everybody. So we have a lot of people on this call, and we talked a little bit about the best way to actually get everybody's questions answered. Because you're all muted, if you would just put your questions in the chat, and if we could, we're going to be taking all of those questions and creating an FAQ off of it and putting it on the website. So if you could keep your questions focused on the topic that is being discussed at one time. So let's say Tim is talking about, talking about the status of our current events, World Championship events, and he's talking about Edmonton. Keep all of your questions related to Edmonton, and Andy is going to be just transcribing all of them. We'll try to get to as many as we can during the course of the call, but any that are not answered, please understand, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put them in the FAQ. So your question will be answered sometime next week when we post all of this. And the other thing I wanted to let you know is we are recording this, and we will make the recording available to everybody who registered if you want to go back and look at it again. And finally, we're going to really try to keep each one of these topics to no more than 20 minutes. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions about a lot of different topics. Just put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to win the office pool, and we'll all be here till midnight. So I know you folks on the East Coast don't want to do that. So we're going to keep everything to 20 minutes. And I think that's all the rules. And Tim, unless you or Megan have anything else you want to add.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Liz. Awesome, cool. So we'll move on, doing quick introductions of the team. So most of you probably know Tim. Tim is a longtime team manager of Team USA. He was the one who started the program. So he is the resident expert on everything Team USA and World Championships. He's our Chief Sport Development Officer. My name is Megan Rich. I've been working with the Team USA program for the last year and a half. And unfortunately, slowly phasing out to focus solely on diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. So just a little bit of time left with you all, but it has been really great, a really great experience. On the call, we also have Lindsay Welker. She's our new programs coordinator. She'll be taking over the logistics side of Team USA, managing some of the day-to-day team management tasks. So super excited to get to talk to all of you and meet you over the last couple years. And I know you're gonna all really enjoy working with Lindsay and continuing to work with Tim. And then going forward, and also there is functionality on here where you can draw on the screen. So if you could refrain from drawing on the screen, everyone on the call will be able to see that. So thanks for that. Moving forward, this is our service team, our constituent relationships team. So this is the group of people that you will probably work with the most when you have questions related to anything and everything USA Triathlon. They are working on service for our Team USA program, which is awesome. We're excited to have them on board so that we can help all of the athletes out in a more efficient manner. So Liz is our Director of Constituent Relationships. You heard from her earlier. Andy, who's on the call doing some of the operational sides of this town hall, is the Constituent Relationships Senior Manager. Chad Cunningham is our Programs Manager. Hope Smith is the Coach and Member Relations Assistant Manager. Todd Brewer is the Race Director and Member Relationships Assistant Manager. And then Alana Davis is Constituent Relationships Coordinator. So super excited to have this group on board and helping us out with the Team USA program. Perfect. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about where we are with qualification. So we've had several qualifications in recent weeks, and our team has been working really quickly to get those out. All of the qualifications for 2022 from Duathlon Nationals, so sprint and standard qualifications, have gone out. So you should have received those notifications about a week ago. The deadline for those are mid next week to claim your spot in the first round. If you are on the roll down list for that, you'll be receiving an email in about a week and a half if you are being moved up into a spot. So if you feel like you qualified during the Duathlon Nationals for 2022 in Townsville and you did not receive an email, shoot us an email at teamusa@usatriathlon.org and we can look into that. We've had a few athletes reach out with their email going into spam. So we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to claim a spot if they've earned it. So reach out sooner rather than later, since we are reaching the deadline of that first cycle of spot claiming. And then from Duathlon Nationals, the qualifications for 2021 have not yet gone out. So if you're expecting a qualification email for that, for 2021 from Duathlon Nationals, those are not out yet. So only the 2022 qualification emails have gone out for sprint and standard distance. All other qualification emails have gone out. So if you raced in Sebring or Fort Worth and you have not received your qualification email, reach out to us. We'll take a look and see what your code is. We're working with our marketing team. We've had, in that batch of qualifications, we've had a lot of people not get their code. So we're gonna resend all of those to athletes who have qualified who have not claimed their spot early next week. So if you're expecting that email, you haven't gotten it, and you don't receive one early next week, reach out. We can take a look and see what's going on with that qualification. And then we've gotten a lot of questions about how to confirm if you have claimed your spot for Team USA. So we have on the Team USA website. So if you go to USA Triathlon's main website page, and then under USAT for me, click on Team USA. On the main page, we have this chart. You can click on it. It'll come out in a PDF. Find yourself, it's in alphabetical order, and this will show you every team that you've paid the deposit for. So whatever spots you've claimed will show up on here as of the date that this was updated. So I pulled this picture, it was updated on May 11th. We're gonna do another update in the next couple days that will refresh all of the spots that have been claimed, but this way you can check all of your spots in one place. Again, this is on the main Team USA page of the USA Triathlon website. And then for the lucky few who are at the top of the alphabet, you can check yours right here on the screen. Okay, awesome. So for 2021, World Triathlon added new disciplines to the World Triathlon offering. So we have mixed relay and super sprint. So these are new events for us. I have a quick 1-minute video about mixed relay, which I think is a great representation of super sprint as well that World Triathlon put together. So we're gonna just play this really quick to hope get everyone pumped up about mixed relay. We've had a round of qualifications go out for this event, but claiming spots has been very few and far between. And this is an incredible opportunity to be a part of a Go ahead and watch this quick. My internet froze again.
I hear you.
Okay. Well, it seems that the internet is not. Okay, well, we're gonna skip this video. It seems that the internet is out to get me today, so we're gonna move on. A little bit of information about the mixed relay. So this is a team event that is made up of 4 athletes per team, 2 female athletes and 2 male athletes. For the World Championships, these teams will be put together based on 10-year age groups that are 5-year increments. So we'll have teams, for example, 20 to 29 will be an age group, 30 to 39 will be an age group, and so forth. These teams are put together based on qualifying times. So there are multiple teams per age group, and then we are going to combine the athletes based on qualification times in the order that you qualify. So the 2 fastest female finishers qualifiers and the 2 fastest male qualifiers will be on the same team and so forth. So we'll move down the list. The distances for the mixed relay are the same as a super sprint. So the super sprint is a new event that will be taking place the distances are 300-meter swim, a 6.6K bike, and a 1K run. So that's each person on the mixed relay team will do that distance, as well as all the athletes competing in the super sprint. And then the qualification for these are taking place at our national championships. So for 2021, the qualification was through the 2019 national championship, since we did not have national championships in 2020. So for 2022, the qualifications will be determined through our 2021 national championships. Okay, and I'm going to pass it over to Tim, who's going to touch base on the status of our current 2021 World Championships.
Hey, before you do that, Megan, really quickly, because Tim is still muted. We've had some questions related to the mixed relay. One of the questions was, how many mixed relay teams per country per age group?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, really great question. So we have, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, we have 10 total teams of 4 athletes per team. So the qualification for The first 6 teams came from 2020, and then the remaining 4 teams will come from the future qualifiers. So big teams, given it is a 10-year age group, but there is opportunity for 20 athletes per gender per age group to qualify for the mixed relay spot.
And then there was a specific question related to Bermuda. How are the mixed relays chosen for Bermuda? Did we lose Megan again? I think we lost her. Tim, do you want to take over? And we have quite a few questions around the existing world championships. And while we're waiting for Megan to come back on, do you just want to kind of give everybody what we know so far about Edmonton and the other WCs?
Yeah, one of the things I want to touch on, thanks, Liz. One of the things I want to touch on before we roll down the pathway, a little bit of defying the myths that are out there. You know, having spoke to a lot of people, sometimes when we find ourselves with cancellations, people are like, I can't believe USA Triathlon canceled world championships. And so I just want to make sure it was clear to everybody on this call anyway, that, you know, we do have conversations with World Triathlon, but they're ultimately the decision maker when it comes to world championship locations, the dates, what the cancellations, the postponements, and all that. Again, great people, great folks, but we really don't have as much say as we would like sometimes in what actually happens. Number 2 is that when we started thinking that we might see some cancellations, we went back to the World Triathlon and said, hey, what can you possibly do to get us in the know? Because we feel like we're still pretty much in the dark. And so about a week and a half ago, they called a meeting of the larger national federations.
Andy, are you cutting and pasting?
Us. And as part of that, we had a chance to listen to World Triathlon dignitaries speak about what the options were, more for Edmonton than any of the others. And so that was probably the first time we really had a chance to dive in and dig in and give them some feedback. Here's what we believe our athletes will think. Here's what we believe our athletes will say on certain things that are happening. Here's some recommendations for what we feel too that you guys could consider if you're going to make some cancellations actually come to fruition. So just know that we did have the ability to at least push them the right pathway. And the other countries followed us. They felt the same way that we did about some of the things that they would consider if they did have cancellations actually occur. And the other thing I want to mention before we kind of go into detail is that there are still so many layers of travel restrictions in place that we're not going to worry as much about those things right now. For instance, that you can't get into Almere today. That is not allowed by that country. We're not part of the safe countries that are on their list. If you were to go to Bermuda right now, you have to have a test done on the day that you arrive in the airport. You have to do it on day 3. You have to do it on day 7. You have to do it again on day 14. So we're not going to spend any time talking about that now because we know with every day comes sometimes an update. And so if you have questions about that, let's refrain from moving forward in that particular way so that we can focus on the other things that we want to actually cover as part of this. As far as what we're looking at right now, you guys all know now, at least if you looked at the news in the last 24 hours, that Edmonton has been canceled. And that is noteworthy to the extent that we have athletes that were hoping to get to Edmonton because they'd made plans to stay close to home and they squeezed in a couple of the races around that particular weekend. We do know that Edmonton, though, is looking for another option, right? Another option that is another city they can go to. We don't know where, we don't know when. We just know that they're looking for an alternative site. If it does happen, the great thing is that none of the qualification things will shift. And we'll get into the details in a slide that's forthcoming in a few minutes. Almere, we learned today as well that Almere has canceled some of their disciplines, right? And the ones they're going to keep are long distance tri and long distance aqua bike. And the ones they're dropping off are the 4 other disciplines that we know were part of the event. And it's really, it's again, this one caught me by surprise as well. I didn't think they would drop aquathlon, standard do, draft legal, sprint do, and off-road tri. We thought they would either drop the whole thing or retain the whole thing. And my odds, as some of you know, because you probably reached out to me, was 60% that we would still have the event. So maybe I still live with the 60% because we are still having the event. We're just not having the event in full. And then when you look at Bermuda, we feel really good about where Bermuda is right now. And I say we feel good because we've had contact with the race management team. They've reassured us that things on their end are still good. Not even looking at the quarantines and stuff like that. From production perspective, from what the country is saying, from what the city of Hamilton is saying, we're in a good place. When you look at Zofingen, also looks really good. As you know, they did postpone their race from June back to September. September's a date they're used to. They're accustomed to that. They like that time of the year. They like the fall. We don't see that being a cancellation as well. And Viborg, which was slated for this year, has already been pushed to 2022 in June. And so we're looking at a new team. As far as qualification this year, we're almost done, right? We had Do Nationals, that was last weekend. And we have the 3 duathlon world qualifiers in June, where an athlete per age group is going to qualify for Worlds. And the 3 that you see that are remaining are on your screen right at the bottom of that particular slide. So that's kind of the quick and dirty about where we are. We'll get into some of the other pieces around that as we go forward. So next slide. When you look at the events that are forthcoming, and we're going to kind of make this a next step, and we're going to come back to what 2021 looks like. But we have the ability to go to Townsville, Australia, right, for Multisport Worlds. And some people have been saying, wow, there's a lot of moving parts. How are we going to qualify athletes? Because you have athletes from 2020, you have athletes from 2021, you're going to have athletes who are going to qualify from 2022. And trust me, when I tell you we spent time on this, we have really micromanaged how we're going to do this. I was up till midnight, not that that's any big deal because a lot of you guys stay up till midnight every night. Up till midnight the other night, making certain that every moving part that we wanted to cover as part of this was recognized and incorporated into what we want to do. So for Townsville, which is slated for 10 days in August of 2022, we will use the Team USA 2020 team auto qualify, Team USA 2021 auto qualify. And then we're going to have the Legacy Triathlon that's going to be held on July 16th in Long Beach, California. That's going to qualify team slots as well. Okay, everybody clear on that? That's our aquathlon. For long distance aqua bike, we're going to, again, Team USA 2020, Team USA 2021. And then we're going to have our long course nationals in Stony Point, New York on September 26th, 27th. That will qualify athletes for that team. Everybody clear on that? Draft Legal Sprint Duathlon. Going to carry forward the Team USA 2020, Team USA 2021. We're going to have obviously our Do Nationals that we had last weekend qualify, and then we have our 3 qualifiers that we noted on the previous screen that will qualify 1 athlete per age group through the top 5 per age group. Okay, everybody good on that? Looking at standard distance do, again, Duathlon Nationals, Tuscaloosa, and then the same 3 June duathlon events that we just noted. Long distance triathlon, Team USA 2020 and 2021, and long course nationals in New York on the weekend that we just noted. And 2 spots per age group for ultra distance nationals, which will be in Claremont, Florida in the fall. Off-road, Team USA 2020, Team USA 2021, and off-road nationals, which were held a couple weekends ago in New Jersey. So the key, here's the key thing I want to make a point on, and that is, we talk about Team USA 2020. Those athletes have already said, I've committed, I've paid the deposit, I'm being held. If you did not make a commitment on the deposit for 2020, it is too late for you to be added to that team that we're moving forward. As for 2021, for all the qualifiers that have taken place to date, yes, there will still be pass downs that'll need to be done, right? So some athletes are still going to qualify through that process. And we have 3 qualifiers left. But other than that, qualifiers are done. So commitments need to happen as if you were going to Worlds in 2021. So for all those that were saying, I'm going to go to one of the 3 qualifiers in June to qualify for 2021 and 2022, if you want to earn the right to be recognized as a Team USA member 2021, you need to go to the event, you need to qualify. We will carry you forward into 2022 as part of that team's qualification. Everybody good on that? Then we will use the current existing 2021 qualifiers to qualify the rest of the team for 2022. Now, here's what is tricky, and that is that you have to, again, we're not going to break this down right now because we're going to touch on this in a few more slides, but people are going to say, well, you're going to fill up the age groups. Just know that we've gone back to World Triathlon to say right now we're being allowed 25 athletes per age group, but we're going to seek more. We'll ask for 30. In some cases, we'll seek 35. We might seek more if we need to. The last thing that I want to see happen is for this organization to feel the brunt of your fury because we don't get enough slots in the age groups, right? But we, at the same time, have to balance the teams that have auto-qualified and the current athletes that still want to get on these world teams and make certain that we represent the needs. Now, here's the crazy number, and this is a crazy number that I'll throw at you guys. We will get 35% attrition that will happen through the course of a year, right? Just people saying, I don't want to go, I'm not going to go, something else came up and I'm not going to be able to make it, or I got injured, or I just no longer interested. We will have another 15% of the athletes who won't even show up for the event, who will not tell us they're not going to the event. You want to get me riled? Oh man, don't even listen. My staff will tell you nothing more agitating than showing up at Worlds, us, and having 15% of the team not show up. So if you're in the boat of not showing up, you better contact us before that because we want to give the opportunity for other athletes to make the team. Some of us said, hey, why don't you penalize the athlete? Why don't you create a tax or a penalty fee? Doesn't work. Why don't you suspend the membership? Why would we want to suspend the top 3% of our athletes in America from USA Team membership? Doesn't work. We just tick them off. We upset them if we do that. So there is a balance that we have to do around that. All right. Abu Dhabi, we're going to keep moving. November 2022. Again, probably one of the hottest locations in the world that you'll ever go to, probably even in November. Standard Aqua Bike, again, Team USA 2020, 2021, and Long Course Nationals in New York. Stanford Tri, or Standard Tri, Team USA 2020, 2021, and Age Group Nationals in Milwaukee. And then Super Sprint, non-draft time trial. We're going to use age group draft sprint, non-draft sprint, excuse me, in Milwaukee. That's part of our weekend of activities there. So next slide. Looking at Montreal, again, that'll be the host of the sprint and the mixed relay world championship. That'll be in June of 2022. Hopefully that still fits everybody's schedule. Again, draft legal sprint triathlon, we're going to use the previous Team USA's. An age group draft legal sprint nationals in Tempe, Arizona, which will be the weekend of November 12th and the 13th. So make sure you guys go to that. Also, that same weekend will be our NCAA nationals. So you have a chance to watch some of our top NCAA athletes compete. Age group mixed relay. Again, it's draft legal. Team USA 2020 and 2021, and age group draft legal sprint nationals in Tempe, Arizona. And then sprint tri would be same two Team USA's, and then our standard distance nationals in Milwaukee, August 7-8. Zofingen, September 2022. We're looking at long distance due, which will be in Stony Point, New York this year. And then obviously the same carryover for Team USA. And then Viborg, which we know has already been moved forward as well, which qualifies, again, athletes via long course nationals in Stony Point, New York. And just know that this is going to be shared with you online. So don't feel like you have to take notes and take this all in. But we will have it posted on the website so you guys can analyze it a little bit further and pick holes in it if you find some holes. But we spent a lot of time on it, but we'll certainly be open-minded about what gaps might exist. Okay, next slide. Now, we know that Almere is canceled. So it's really a matter of what steps do we take now for those that were canceled, that we lost, right? So when you look at the ones we lost, again, we're going to take a look at athletes from Team USA 2020, we talked about that before. The carryover 2021, carryover qualifiers for 2021. We'll take the remainder of the number of slots that aren't taken through the first two Team USA's, and we will continue to pass down with this year's national qualifiers, knowing that the attrition is so high. We'll continue to pass down through the events so that we capture as many athletes from the qualifiers as we can. We can't oversubscribe, but hopefully we get a nice response back from World Triathlon and we can get more slots per age group. The 25 athlete age group capacity is where we are right now. We don't think we're going to be there in the future. I'm going to push like crazy and leverage my position on the World Triathlon Multisport Committee to make sure that we get some recompense about where we are with this and hopefully get some logical thinkers to help us get this number to something better. Then we're going to lock down. We're going to make sure that the Team USAs for 2020 and 2021 are really locked into place, right? So we know how many slots we're using from those two Team USAs to have an exact number going into those national championships to know what the qualifier will be numbers for each of the age groups at those events, for each of the events we might have in that particular weekend. We are going to have rankings used, but only if we need to. So when we think about rankings, we're going to go 2 athletes, probably, maybe, if there's 2 slots to be had. We're going to go 10 deep. So if you rank this year, you're going to rank pretty well in order to be recognized and earn the honor to represent the USA at the event. Again, 2 athletes are going to earn that right. If the big if slots are available. I am not thinking this is going to be a great avenue for people to try to get qualification done, but we have it there as an option. Something we used to do in the old days. We lost it this year, but we brought it back for this coming year for 2022. And then podium finishers from 2019. We felt really, really, really good when we made this shift about 4 years ago, that any person that qualifies for Worlds via podium finish, they deserve the right to be on that team without having to requalify. And so we'll honor that as well. All right. Edmonton. And I'm not going to go through this like I did just now, but it's pretty much going to be the same thing. We know that Edmonton is canceled, right? So we know that we're going to qualify 2021 and 2020 and 2021 Team USA athletes, right? We're going to use the qualifiers for this year, and what's left in each of the age groups we're going to move through like we just talked about. Everything else mirrors what we just talked about for Almere, except we will apply it for the disciplines that we will have for Worlds in 2022. Okay, next slide. Bermuda, again, we have great faith that Bermuda will not be canceled. We believe it'll hold in place for us. But again, the same thing that we'll do if Bermuda was to cancel is we'll use Team USAs from 2020-21. We'll have the differential that we'll have for qualification. We'll have the hopefully more athletes per age that we can qualify, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to marry ourselves to this so that we get the right athletes and the maximum number of athletes we can possibly qualify on these world teams. Then if Zofingen and Viborg, which you know has already been moved, again, and those teams are small. We'll have 35 athletes maybe at Zofingen. We'll have maybe 30 in Viborg. We're not worried about capacity limits for those, but there is no more qualification for those. So those athletes that have locked into their positions for those 2 world championships are going to have the right to choose moving forward. Now, here's the thing that's with all of these events we talk about, is that some of the athletes that are on Team USA 20 and 21, right? They may say, I have no interest. I don't want to go to the location for 2022. We're going to send out information to every athlete on those teams and request interest or not in being part of the same Worlds team for 2022. If there's interest, great. There's no more deposit that has to be paid. You are at your capacity for deposits. What will need to happen is once we get the reg fee from race management, and I asked them again last week, and they still don't know for the events what that's going to be, we will have that be the final commitment that athletes have to make to pay USAT the reg fee or fees, because some will do multiple events. And once we receive that, we will authorize it, we will document it, we will confirm with you that we received it. You will then officially be on the team. Okay, everybody good with that? And that process will happen for every one of the world championships. And we're going to go back, get a commitment. Because what that'll do for us, it'll tell us how many spots we have the qualifiers for 2022. We're not going to make any assumptions that everybody's going to want to go to the locations for 2022. Everybody good with that? All right. We know that there's a lot of questions coming in, and as Liz and Megan noted, we're going to get all these answered. What might happen is these become FAQs, and we'll send them out to you afterwards, because we probably will run out of time or run out of voice in our voice boxes to be able to answer all the questions over the period of time that we're defining for the call.
Why don't I read a couple of them to you, Tim, because there's quite a few that have come in. Let me, outside of people wondering if you have a shot for GQ as part of your intro, they're jumping right away into the events. So one of the questions was deposits for 4 races in Almere, and 3 of them were canceled today. 2 of those deposits were paid in May for qualifying in Sebring. What will happen to those qualifications? Can they be rolled into 2022, or will I have to qualify again? I think you've answered that question, but I don't know if you want to add anything more to that, Tim.
Well, yeah, I'll certainly say that for those athletes that went to Sebring, for those that went to Fort Worth, for those that are going to go to the qualifiers in June for Do Worlds, follow through the process. Pay your deposits. Make certain you make those deposits, because we've had many come back to say, I think I paid, but I'm not sure. Can you check? And we found they didn't make the deposit, and it was after the deadline. We honored them, but we can't honor them going much further into the process because we're making commitments to what those slot numbers are going to be for national championship or those qualifiers for next year. And we can't continue to have those impact the athletes that are going to those events and qualifications. Now, the deposits are not refundable, and they haven't been. This has been, as long as we've been around, the deposits go towards a lot of important things that we do as our support staffs, our teams, and our movements that we have. The reg fees, on the other hand, as long as, and if you cancel out, as long as you have paid the reg fee and we have not submitted the roster, then we are going to honor the deposit being refunded to you for the event fee, right? Inside of, and it could be 45 or 60 days of the event, that refund is not possible. So did I answer that in full, Liz?
I think so. Another question was that, you stated that the option for Edmonton is to defer to Abu Dhabi, but is it possible to have an opportunity to race the sprint in the 2021 World Championships in Bermuda?
You can only compete at Worlds, the event in which you qualified, right? You can't cross over. If you're going to cross over, you got to go to the qualifier to make the team. Okay. So the events have to be the same. Like if you make the Sprint Worlds team, you can't say, I'm not going to do sprint. I want to transfer over to standard or vice versa. That will not be a possibility.
James has asked regarding the qualifications from off-road nationals that they haven't seen any emails for qualification. I'm not sure if those have gone out. I don't know if Megan has connectivity again on that.
The event, as you know, was May 15th. And so I can't answer for Megan. Is Megan on the line again?
I don't know if she has.
Okay.
I don't think it's gone out, but we'll get that up on the website.
Yeah, we'll make a note. And here's the other thing that I think will be really important for us to do is we make a commitment to doing it within a certain time frame. And anytime it gets over 2 or 3 weeks, it does create a lot more service issues for us. So I know Lindsay's on the phone and Megan is handling about 50,000 different things for the organization. One of the things that we will do better, we'll improve on, is making sure that those qualification emails do land within a certain time frame after the event. And when we make the commitment, we'll follow through with the commitment. I'm not blaming anybody at USAT. I'm simply saying that in my role as sport development officer, I've got to impress upon our team to really marry themselves to those dates once we make a commitment.
There's a couple of questions related to Bermuda, Tim. One of them is, they've claimed their spot, for Bermuda. When can they expect to register for the event? Have you received anything from Bermuda about when they might open up registration?
No, you know what? I get so aggravated. It's like, you can't tell me that in a budget that is done for a world championship event that you don't know what your risk is, right? How do you know if you're going to make a profit or a loss with your event without knowing approximately what your reg fee is going to be and how many athletes are going to sign up for it? So I don't have much hair left, but I pull a lot of hair out when I push for those registration fee numbers and I can't get them. Guess what happened last week, as I mentioned earlier? Can't get them. So we don't know yet, but as soon as we get them, I promise you, Miss Lindsay Welker will get those out. We'll have a process for paying, and we'll make a commitment to getting all of you in the know. Here's the thing we've also got to work through is that there are a lot of people who are not getting the emails like we've talked about earlier. So if we will have something posted on the site, we'll send out a notice that we're going to commit to the reg fee, having all reg fees paid by this date. If you know of other people who have not made a commitment and they're not on the list as having made a commitment, because we're going to have that list updated through the entire process as well. So you always know where you stand, that you need to let us know, or that person needs to let us know that they're not on the list, or that we don't have a recorded deposit for them, or whatever the situation might be.
There were some questions related to the COVID testing in Bermuda, and one of the athletes asked if it was possible to arrange to have a centralized spot for the team at a hotel or a designated spot where the COVID testing can take place.
You know, I did pose that question in our meeting with World Triathlon, and they said that there is one place they can do it in Bermuda. Everybody who's there is going to have to go to that one place. They didn't allow for mobile implementation to be supported, because I said to them, you know what would be wonderful is if you could do it in the Team USA hotels. They said, Tim, it's not going to happen. Sorry, we're going to do it in one location. We'll tell you where it is, and you'll have to do it through those particular locations. So we tried.
Sue Reynolds has asked, what is the deadline for people to claim mixed relay spots? And when will people be notified about roll down spots for mixed relays?
You know what, Sue, you and I have had some really good emails. I tell you what, your emails are so incredibly detailed and great. Matter of fact, Sue has a new book out. You need to read it. And she gave me a copy of it. And it's a great read. I'm not all the way through. It's a great read. Right now, I'm just shocked at the number of people that have not made a commitment to the mixed relay. So the next iteration of processing we're going to do is to go back and assess the people that had made a commitment because of where they placed, right? We still haven't heard from some of them, but we're going to have to simply come up with a deadline fairly soon again and renote the deadline and say, if you do not commit to this, we are going to then do the new fills. And I know that Megan had said we're really close to that happening because we have like 40% of the relay spots that haven't been filled yet. And so we're at a place where we need to start filling those up. We need to get people in them. Here's the other thing we want to mention is that, as you know, these are positioned by your results, not by you saying, I want to race with X, Y, or Z person in the relay. And the reason for that is it would be, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how hard to coordinate and organize when you're talking about the number of mixed relays that we will have for this event. And so that's kind of how the process is. Sue, thank you for your patience. We're going to continue to push. Lindsay's going to be able to pick up on this as well and make this a high priority for her so we can get the relays at least adjusted. Now, let me also say the process for cancellation is going to be very rigid. So if you make a commitment to being a relay team member and you then decide you're not backing out, you have to contact us. We're going to develop a system when we arrive that will be a daily check-in through Zoom, hopefully, and hopefully people will have access to Zoom, or we'll have a meeting place in our host hotel where we're going to have meetings about the relays. Because here's what we can't have happen. We can't have all of our relays filled 10 days out, get inside of a week, be at Worlds, doing all the hundreds of things that we need to do, and then have 15% of the people not show up. And then have relay members who had made a commitment to being on a relay then learn, I can't race because we don't have another relay member. How are we going to fill it? Well, we've got a process, and it's a very intricate process we've developed for this, but it's hit or miss. Do the people have phones where we can reach them? Do they have emails that they're reading? Are they looking at the updates? Can they come by the host hotel? It's going to be a really intricate process, but we're going to manage as best we can. That's a long explanation on the relays, but it's something I felt was important for people to hear because there's so many moving parts. I have not seen anything as complex as what it's going to take for that single relay to be filled and to have the actual 4 people show up at the start line.
Tim Carroll has asked if there will be any need to show COVID vaccination cards or send a photo of them in advance of the events.
You know what? We touched on things really changing so frequently, and we believe that's going to happen. But here's my message to everyone is if you have your vaccination card, you're going to not only take a photograph of it so it's on your phone, you're not going to keep a copy of one so it's here at your home before you leave. You're also going to have that card with you. We don't know when and if it's going to be requested, but we know that it's probably going to be in important for you to have it at some point. Our hope is that if you are vaccinated, we can eliminate some of these tests that are required, like in Bermuda. Test when you arrive, test in 3 days, test in 7 days. If you're there for a vacation, test again. Are you kidding me? You may stand in line for hours each of those days to get your test done. And then you got to wait 6 hours. So you're going to be quarantined for 6 hours after your test is done. We're hoping all this goes away. We don't have to deal with the mess. We're hoping.
Okay. Okay. I think we answered a lot of the, let's see. Will the sprint national championship or the draft legal, will it, Dave, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking here, but his question is, will it be the sprint national championship or the draft legal national championship?
That's going to qualify. It's going to be both. It's going to qualify.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's where the balance is. I'm not sure it listed in that diagram, but we have made a commitment for Milwaukee as a non-draft sprint race to qualify up to 8 athletes for Worlds, right? We've made a commitment to the draft legal sprint nationals in Arizona, where we do 8 slots, but we do pass downs because that is the discipline we're going to have at Worlds. So what we're doing is we're hoping it's going to be a combination between the two, in addition to Team USA 2020 and Team USA 2021 that we made a commitment to. That balance is going to be something we're going to be very transparent about. We're going to be very quick to respond to athletes. We're going to be able to show who's on the wait list and some of those things, just because that one's a little trickier with 2 events qualifying athletes for the same event.
Colleen has asked a question about the aquathon now that it's been canceled in Almere, and just wanted to make sure that her entry deposit would carry over to Australia.
Absolutely. And we will have record of that. Matter of fact, when you check your name on the diagram that we create online to indicate your interest or whether you made a commitment or not, if you haven't made a deposit, there will be no checkbox or mark in that particular box. So you'll be able to see that. If you have, it'll indicate obviously that you have. So yes, no question about that.
If someone is signed up for the super sprint in Edmonton, does that get automatically carried over to Abu Dhabi?
So any and all pre-qualifications are going to carry over, right? So as long as you paid your deposit, right? You made a commitment to us through that deposit that you're going to go to Worlds, that carryover will happen. That's what we talked about, it being so critical that what happened in 2020 or 2019 for your Team USA 2020 is locked down, ready to go. If you didn't make a commitment in those years for Team USA last year, you're not going to be able to slide in unless you requalify through one of the 2021 events for next year, for 2022.
Is there an opportunity to qualify for the Super Sprint World Championship in Milwaukee?
You know what? We know it's sold out, right? And it's sold out really, really, really fast. One of the things that our team is doing right now, and that we have an incredible events team, we have incredible staff, but incredible events team especially, that is working closely with Milwaukee decision makers. We believe strongly that as the days get closer and closer to the event, that as cities open up, that we're going to be able to release some of the names on the wait list. Here's what you don't want to do. You do not want to get on a wait list because, heck with it. I'm not going to waste my time getting on a wait list and get my hopes up and never make it onto a team, to the event. I would say this, get on the wait list, because when and if it opens up, it's going to be a pretty big dump, because what will happen is we're going to be able to add a few more names and faces to the start list, because we're going to be able to get a larger transition area, right? With relaxation. We're limited by numbers right now because we're so big, and those restrictions we hope will change in the next 30 days to allow us to clear that wait list, at least most of the wait list. Here's the other thing that we're doing. Very soon, we're going to have an email that's going to go out to all those that were on the qualification deferral list to say, if you're coming to Milwaukee, great. We're going to welcome you. We're going to give you a virtual hug. Thank you for coming. But if you're not, we need to know that. We're going to give you $100. You're going to be able to apply that credit to any other event that you want. That's a national championship that we work with, that we own, and we'll all be happy. We'll all make out like we need to. But people need to be honest with themselves. If they're going to Milwaukee or they're not going to Milwaukee.
Stacy has asked, Where on the new site may we find the grid that shows what world championships were registered for? She can't find it. I don't know if Megan wants to speak where it is going to be hosted on the site.
Megan, did we get you back?
Yeah, I'm back. So it's on the main Team USA page. So it's www.usatriathlon.org/USAT for me/Team USA. It's been going in and out of the chat, but we can drop it in there one more time. If you click on it, it'll open up in a PDF. We are going to update that again early next week. And then we'll also have one going very soon for 2022, since some athletes have already started paying those deposits. So bear with us as we update it. It is a tedious process, so we have to go through that. It takes a little bit of time. So when we update it next, we'll put it in a PDF, and then we'll also have the 2022 one coming soon.
Thank you, Megan. Another question is, how do we get refunds for lodging for Edmonton that were purchased through Andavo?
Yeah, Jeff Mance, as a matter of fact, you see his picture on the screen. He's the guy to go to. He's again, he's been with us for, I don't know how many years, 5 or 6 years. Jeff is amazing what he does. He does an incredible job supporting our efforts. He will manage the Team USA desk. So I'm doing my lead into what his particular slide is essentially saying without saying it. But he's the guy that'll handle all the housing for you. And if you, through him, obviously he'll work with you to get your refund. Transportation, you know, if there's a bike that's lost, he makes it happen. He'll actually find where it is and then try to get it to your location in the city. He will work with me and our team manager on getting a replacement bike within the city if we have to. If even that means we have to leverage a friend of a local club member who has the right size bike for you to ride. So Jeff has really been a stalwart. He's really been a yeoman effort kind of guy at World Championships and doesn't sleep much at all, but we've really been fortunate to have him. So his information's on the line. If you have not booked your travel, your transportation, any of your housing, please do that immediately. I think we're almost sold out for Bermuda, but get with him quickly if you haven't made arrangements yet. For what will happen in 2022, obviously, there have been many layers of conversations happening about what that's going to look like.
We have so many questions, Tim. I think we're just maybe do another 10 of those, and then we'll answer them in the FAQ. So because I know there's some other things that you want to go through on the agenda before we close out for the call, but let me just run through a few more of these and just reinforce for everyone. If we didn't get to your question, we're transcribing all of them now, and we'll have answers on the website for you next week. If there is a replacement for Edmonton and the athlete is unable to attend that one, will they be able to roll their qualification over to Abu Dhabi?
You know what? That's a really good question. The answer is you will not be able to roll it over. If the event didn't happen, then the deferral is going to be accepted, right? But the event is there. And so you would not be able to roll it over.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so that you just answered the next question from Dawn, which was whether or not we could roll qualifications to 2023 if they can't make the 2022 events. And let's see. If I signed up and held my spot for Sprint Due in Almer, do I go to Townville?
Yes, if you signed up, you made a commitment, you paid your deposit, and you will then tell us when we reach out to you soon that you want to go to Townsville. Absolutely, you'll be able to go to Townsville, and you'll be considered part of our Team USA 2021 squad that will carry over.
There's been a lot of questions about aquathon. I have to tell you, Tim, that the athletes that participate in that discipline are feeling a little underrepresented for the importance of that. And they're concerned about the start times for the race and whether or not the qualifications will carry over. I'm just wondering if you might just speak a moment about the importance of aquathon to the team and why that is a discipline that is valued by this organization.
Oh my gosh, you know, we've had so many conversations within our organization about the other disciplines, right? About aquabike, about aquathlon, about off-road and some of those. Think about what's aquathlon offer for you? You get to fly on a plane without that crazy bike, right? You don't have to take it through a shipping company, spend a lot of money. You get to show up with what you have in a small little bag and race. We believe this has the greatest potential for growth than any of the other disciplines. Aqua bikes grow up pretty fast too, but aquathlon is especially great. And you know what the other thing about it? Entry level. A lot of people are really good swimmers that don't really want to bike because they're just not comfortable on a bike, especially out on roads for training. They get to show up and compete in a national championship. They get to show up and be a part of a world championship. It's a 35, 40-minute race. It's not long, but we have, again, you're part of Team USA. You represent the country, and you get maybe to do some other events as well. When we're there managing these teams, aquathletes are just as important as anybody else, and we'll treat you with that importance. And as far as timelines with world championship hosts, when we see the actual schedule, we do go back to them and say, this doesn't seem quite right. What can we do? Is there a way to make this work so it fits in better with what you're doing over the entire week or weekend? We don't always get people to listen to us, but we'll always represent you and the sport and other disciplines like this where we see that happen.
And to that end, can you address the aquathon start time in Long Beach?
Matter of fact, I don't have that pulled up. Brad Hildebrandt is our race director for that event. So if you go to the Legacy Triathlon, is it that I've seen the start time and I'm not?
I don't actually don't think it's been determined yet.
Okay.
Last time I talked to Brad, I think they were still working out the schedule, but we were told sometime in the late afternoon on Friday.
The one thing I know is that that's a busy weekend too, with just a lot of things that we're doing. Again, we're not relegating aquathletes to a horrible start time. Matter of fact, if you look at what happened with our elites in different venues around the world when they race, guess what time they often race? They often race at noon. Sometimes they race at 3 o'clock. And there's not always a bad thing about that. You get to sleep in, you get to hang out, you get to hydrate better because you have a chance to take in more food and drink and so on and so forth. But I haven't seen it yet. So Liz, to your point, that is slated for an afternoon start time. I would relish that and enjoy.
Actually, Brian is muted, but he can chime in on the start time. So Andy, Andy's controlling the mic for everyone right now. Were you able to find it? Okay. Okay, Brian, you should be good. No, Brian, our Brian.
Brian D'Amico, are you there?
No, he's not.
I see Judy Carberry mentioned Legacy Aquathlon start time, 6:45 p.m. schedule is posted.
Brian said he's just muted, so he's happy to chime in. Well, while we try to find Brian in the roster of the people that are on this call to answer that question, why don't we take just a few more questions?
Yep.
I think this is an interesting one. A lot of people are asking why not add spots for long course aqua bike at Ultra Nationals in Claremont as an option to New York?
You know what? It's a good thought. Maybe we chew on that. Maybe we give that a consideration. You know what? We're open book, guys. I'm telling you, it is a good idea. And so let's discuss with our team. We'll note this, discuss with our team, and we'll go back and have a conversation. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. It allows a couple of athletes to qualify for Worlds through an incredible venue. Have you guys been to that Claremont course before? Woo! Mm-hmm. It's a really fun course. But let's chew on it and see what we can do with it.
Okay. Let's see. Did you unmute Brian? Brian, we're sorry we can't find you. If you want to Slack us the answer, we'll represent you here on the call. For Townsville, will there be a standard distance aqua bike?
For Townsville, you know what's interesting? If you go to the Townsville site right now, they don't even have off-road listed. And so I went back to the organizer the other day and I said, it seems like you're missing some things that are on your list. So here's what we'll do is we'll get absolute confirmation on who's going to host what. The standard aqua bike is not supposed to be supported by Townsville. It's supposed to be supported by Abu Dhabi. So we'll have to see if that changes. You guys, it's a moving slate sometimes, right? Where events move around a little bit and so on and so forth. But Townsville is not supposed to host standard aqua bike, but if they don't support the off-road try, maybe they're picking up something else that another group doesn't want. Right now, we will post on our site what events are going to fall under each of the different race hosts. Lindsay, take note, and we'll be sure that we follow up that and see if any of those have changed.
Adam has asked, what is USAT's position on rescheduling the Edmonton race this year? If there's a consensus among us athletes that we would rather race in Abu Dhabi in 2022, and USAT has some weight with World Triathlon, why not press World Triathlon to postpone 2022?
To postpone 2021.
But yeah, to postpone to
postpone
2022. Sorry.
Yeah. You know, here's part of what the mentality is, and that is we've already lost an event in 2020, right? A world championship. We don't want to lose another world championship if we have anything we can do about it. So they really want to find a different host. Now know this, that putting on a world championship, when you've been asked to do it, it's June 4th, right? Most of these event organizers have 18 months to prepare for these world championships. For someone to take on an event of this magnitude with $1.4 million budget, if not greater, with a commitment of a city to shut down essentially the entire city. Yes, we add to their tax base. We know that, but it also creates a lot of commotion and angst for people that live there. And some of these guys are elected officials and they don't want to lose the ability to lose an election because they brought a big event to their community. So what is the likelihood of that happening? I would say it's probably 30%. Again, I like numbers. I'll put it on the line as 30%, because for someone to take it on with such short lead time is going to be really, really, really hard for them to do. There's a $200,000 sanction cost you have to pay. You got to pay other fees for dignitaries to come into town and stay in hotels. And it's not cheap. I'm not knocking those types of fees. I'm simply saying it's not cheap. There's not many people in America or the world that's going to be able to cover the cost and make a profit, not break even, make a profit to go forward. No one's going to do this to break even, and certainly not to lose money.
Okay, Tim, we're coming up on, we're over the hour right now. So we're just going to do a couple more questions and then we'll transcribe answers to the rest of them. I do like Kimmy Armour's question, which is, will there be a multi-sport legend award this year? Nothing is promised, but a girl can hope.
Well, will there be a multi-sport legend award in Almere? There will not be, more than likely. We'll ask the question of them with only 2 events. Usually, as you know, legend is comprised of 4 races. Where's Dave Campbell? 4 races that you do out of the 6 that are offered. And then, you know, there's 15 to 20 people that might be able to do that. In Townsville, yes, without question. In Almere, more than likely not. But Lindsay, make a note. We'll reach out to World Triathlon and see what they say about that.
One of the athletes has mentioned that they feel that it's a tough turnaround for the athletes that are doing Zofingen. I think I didn't pronounce that properly, to get back to long distance nationals in Stony Brook.
Yep. Yeah, I know it is. And there's 35 of you that maybe want to do that. You know, the other thing, I'm glad you brought that up, is that people often feel like we dump our event schedule on top of ITU schedule and say, just make it work. About 95% of the time, our schedule has the date first. And World Triathlon, they're not looking at every country's national championships, right? To say, oh, it's a good weekend, it's a bad weekend, let's try not to hit it. The only time it ever happened is with Townsville, when they put it on the same weekend, or was it 1 weekend apart, our age group national championship. And then what did they end up doing? They ended up with a date that now puts us 2 weeks after our event. So we just have to live with it. It's ideal. And hopefully you guys can get back from Switzerland, get to the event. And you know what? As I've always said, the mind is a powerful thing. You could probably do the double, even though that race in Switzerland is one of the toughest races. I will make a commitment, is in the top 5 toughest races in the world, bar none. And you just have to be ready for New York, I guess, through your recovery and really taper like you should before another big race.
Okay. A lot of these questions, I think, have been pretty much answered earlier in the, I mean, there are some that haven't. We have Brian available, apparently.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, so I wanted to jump in on the legacy question. So kind of a little bit of the challenge we're facing, the city of Long Beach has been absolutely great as far as accommodation of schedule. With that being said, based off of water and permitting, even on the pathways, based off of rights in California to have those pathways open. Get down, please. Sorry. That it becomes a bit difficult at times. So what we were able to do.
Oh, oh no.
Because what part of the challenges that we're having were mainly based off of permitting time and closures time. So as Judy had mentioned, it is on Friday night. Kind of the challenge that we were faced with is either being able to hold it Friday night or there wasn't enough time as being permitted in the schedule by Long Beach. So with that said, I know it's not ideal, also based off of the fact that it's right around the same time as open water swim. But what we were planning for 2022 that I believe has been noted prior in the call is combining that in with our multi-sport festival that's currently out for bid now. So apologies as I'm picking up my son and failing to be unmuted on my end, but hopefully that helps to answer the question.
Brian, thank you. Appreciate you doing double duty there with kid pickup and being this town hall. So let's move forward, Liz, if we can.
Yeah, I mean, I just have one more question that everyone seems to be asking. And you've answered it, but perhaps it needs some additional clarification and then we'll move on. And that is people who don't want to go to Almere for the long distance try, can they roll to 2022? You know, with the reduction of all the events taking place, if they don't want to go, do they have that option?
They will not have the option.
Questions like that.
If the event is being offered and you say, I don't want to go, it is not a rollover option. We apologize for that, but it just can't happen.
Okay. Well, we'll stop the questions there, Tim, and Andy has been doing a really good job at moving those questions over to another document so we can get those answered if you want to continue on with your presentation.
Yep, we got Jeff to handle. We can move to the next slide, please. All right.
Okay,
let's defer to Megan.
Yeah, this one's me. I've seen a lot of questions on uniforms in the chat. I'm so excited to talk a little bit about this. For all of the world championships that are taking place in 2021, you can still use your Roka uniform that you've purchased over the last couple of years. The uniform that you purchased in 2020 that you didn't get to use is still legal for 2021. We do have a new partner, so we're switching uniforms in 2022. So next year, the 2021 uniforms will not be race legal. If you race in the 2021 uniforms next year, you risk being disqualified from the World Championship. So please make note that all 2021 uniforms, this is the last year you can wear them, but we will have a new partner with a new kit design next year. So super excited about that. And then with the parade kits will be different next year. Like every year we have a different team shirt and team hat since those are dated, but we are switching to a new apparel partner next year. So we will have a completely new team parade kit, and those we will get more information about a little bit down the road for 2022. Those of you who are participating in 2021 World Championships, all of the emails have gone out from Roka and from PlayTry. So Roka is the team kit provider. If you have not received an email for a uniform for 2021 and you still need to purchase one, you can reach Roka at teamusa@roka.com. They'll be able to talk you through getting your uniform ordered. With the parade kit, if you have not ordered your parade kit yet, you can access that through the USA Triathlon store. There's a Team USA page. So you should have received an email that has the passcode for that locked page, but that is where you can purchase the parade kits. If you have purchased the quarter zip pullover and the shorts for 2020, you can use the same shorts that you purchased for 2020 this year for 2021, but you will be required to purchase a new tech tee and a new hat since those are dated and year specific. For those of you who have purchased your kits and parade kits and your event has been canceled this year, we are going to do a fun photo contest. We still want you to wear those uniforms and kits around. Please race in them. Please get some cool pictures in them. We're going to do a photo contest for how you are still representing your Team USA uniforms the more creative, the better. We will possibly share these on our Team USA website and our social channels. So for a chance to be featured in your Team USA kits, you can email photos to communications@usatriathlon.org, or you can post them on social media and tag us. Be sure to tag us. We would love to see how creative you get and where you're wearing your parade kits and your race kits. I did see a fun video the other day of someone throwing their own Parade of Nations where they walked with themselves. So the more creative, the better. But we would love to see what you guys do with those.
Hey, Kimmy Armour, you're not allowed to talk about booty during this chat line, just so you know. There was a question I saw Liz come in real quickly, and it says, if there's a replacement event for Edmonton, how much lead time do we need to actually get the uniform ordered? Megan, you want to touch on that?
So for lead time, really the sooner you can order it, the better. I know with Roka, they're going to need at least a month to get you that kit. With the parade kits, it's not as important that you order that as soon, since the inventory isn't as custom made as our race kits are. So parade kits, there's a little bit more lead time, but the Roka kit, definitely order that as soon as you can. Just to make sure you have it in time for Worlds. Because again, if you race in a non-approved race kit, you do risk being disqualified. So if you can plan ahead, that's the best practice when it comes to the team uniforms.
Yeah, and let me add, to kind of build on that a little bit, is our guess is if they find a replacement event for Edmonton, it's not going to come in August or September for a November, December event. It's going to come in the next 30 to 45 days, maybe back into July at the absolute latest, which hopefully then means it's going to land in November. It's going to land in the latter months of this particular year, and there will be that lead time that you need to actually order your uniform. Someone else also said, can we wear it at nationals? I think it was Ann. Yes, you can. You should. We hope you do, because at that event will be a lot of photographers and a lot of people taking these cool shots. And if this is your time to really shine wearing Team USA kit, wear it, enjoy it, relish in the fact that you're one of our stars. I think that's pretty cool to be able to do that. All right.
Awesome. And Tim, we're going to move on to the next slide that is on training information. So our Team USA coach.
Yeah, this is a really easy one. Pat Casey. If you've never met Pat, he's hilarious. I laughed the whole time I'm around him. He's going to be our coach for our World Championships. And what he couldn't join us here because he's got a fit kit that he's doing for a group. But he said he's going to have the first training plan set to go fairly soon, like in the next couple of weeks. June 14th, the date he actually gave us. We'll give him a grace period of maybe an extra few days after that. Going to be done through Training Peaks, which many of you are maybe not familiar with, but you'll learn quickly how that's set up. But it's easy to follow the training plans that are in Training Peaks. He's going to have different workouts. He's going to set up for some will be Zoom workouts because we've become so accustomed to being able to do online workouts together as a group, which would be kind of fun. We're also going to be looking for a new communication option. We don't think Facebook is the best communication option for this private group, this smaller group of people that are part of Team USA. So we're going to be looking at, might be Slack, and it might be a couple other options. I'm going to kind of lean on Lindsay, who I believe, if I'm not wrong, Lindsay, you gave us some options during the interview of some things we could look at for better communications as part of that. So Pat's our man. Pat will be in touch with you all soon, and we're looking forward to having him part of our World Championship support staff again.
Perfect. And Tim, this is the last slide. So if you want to give us a few closing words, or if we have any other questions that are pressing in the chat.
And you know what? The closing words are things that I believe in.
Wait, Tim, before you do your closing statement, I don't want to rush it, but we do have a question that we actually are seeing a lot in service right now. Can you answer this one, and then you can do your closing statement?
That's fine.
Okay. There were a number of people who received their qualification email yesterday for Worlds, and then we turned off the registration. And they're wondering if, and they were unable to claim their slot. They're wondering because Edmonton was canceled. They want to know if their qualification will be honored and if they'll get a new link and code to claim their spot for whatever race, either whether we have one that takes place, a replacement for Edmonton, or they roll to next year's.
Megan, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are rolling to next year, correct? Since we are pushing for larger teams, we want to go ahead and honor those who have qualified. You will still have to pay the deposit.
Correct.
But we are in the process of setting up the 2022 deposit platforms in our registration system. So we didn't want anyone to go in and pay it under the wrong year. Not that it'll make a huge difference since we're transferring everyone over, but just to save some steps, that'll be coming out soon.
Okay. Does that help, Liz?
That's perfect. You are free for closing remarks. We have
All
like
right.
a lot of questions still, but we'll address those separately.
We will. You know what, you guys, and there are 200 plus athletes on this. I use it with our staff often, and I believe in this. Matter of fact, I had a friend of mine make a shirt that says "Pressure is a privilege," and we talk about why that's so. We're prepared at the highest level to be successful. We create opportunities so we can experience great things like Team USA. We set the highest level of goals possible. And I always say that, you've earned the right to be here. When we're at World Championships, this is your time. It's not our time as staff members, it's yours. So what we go through when things like this happen and events get canceled is just the unpredictability of it, right? The unknown that bites us and makes it difficult for us to be able to sleep at night or to know what the next step for me in my quest to be part of a world team is going to look like. That uncomfortability is, again, part of the pressure that we put ourselves in, that we just need to change the mindset a little bit. The hurdles shouldn't surprise us. We need to rise above them. The best solutions, we got to be seeking solutions through process. We have to fall back on, all of us have contingencies, right, during a race. If you break a saddle bolt on your bike during a race, what do? You pull your water ball, if you have one, and use that as your saddle. What happens if you don't have your goggles and the race starter, your strap breaks? You yell like crazy for team support staff. We have extras with us all the time. Or you run to a vendor and have them loan you one so that you can get into the race. We're constantly needing to shift gears on the unpredictability of our sport. And we fight the odds and we conquer these internal and external battles that we balance every day in our lives. Why would it be any different for multi-sport? What we're experiencing today is truly a hurdle. It's a test to see what we'll do. Is it the white lining or the gray-black matter that you guys are thinking about? Hopefully it's the white lining. I just want you guys to know, and I say this with unbelievable sincerity. We respect you guys. We appreciate you guys for what you do, the commitment you make to the sport. Without you, we don't do what we do. You are Team USA, the greatest age group team in the world. I will battle every minute of every day in supporting you guys. And just know that we are honored to serve you. And we hope you're just as equally proud to honor and represent your country at some point in 2021 or 2022. I just want to thank everybody for spending the last hour and 20 minutes with us. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. As I mentioned, we'll transcribe all the questions. Tim, those were lovely closing remarks, by the way. Very, very inspiring. I want to be part of Team USA now just because of what you said. But I just wanted to remind everyone, we will transcribe all the comments. We'll do our best to answer all your questions. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to have many more of these town halls going forward. Part of our goals in the service department is to be able to be a little bit more transparent with you guys in terms of what's happening and give you a little bit more up-to-date information. So Tim and Megan and Lindsay and I and the rest of the service team are going to be working on putting together a good schedule for you. So you'll get sick of our faces, hopefully, over the next couple of years. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Tim and Megan, for your hard work on the presentation.
Thank you.